So, one of the key technologies that's part of our managed cloud story at Rackspace is VMware. They're a great partner. They're also a sponsor of this event. We've been a partner of VMware's for 10 years, and they're one of again, the sponsors here today. We're excited to hear more from them directly. Please welcome the Vice President of America's Enterprise Sales Segment, Don Schleicher.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John. And certainly on behalf of all of VMware, I wanted to thank certainly the Rackspace organization for allowing us to participate here today. I actually just have a few slides, and hopefully we'll get everybody back on track a little bit. One of the key things when you think about VMware and the cloud, from our standpoint, this is an area where we really believe architecture does matter. Oftentimes you'll hear architecture really doesn't matter here or there, infrastructure doesn't matter. When it pertains to this whole idea of hybrid cloud and the ability to really dynamically have workloads be in a public or external cloud as well as your internal cloud, the architecture really does matter. And in that regard, from a VMware perspective, our concept is that this isn't about disparate clouds, it's really about one cloud. And the way you do that is software defining your infrastructure, whether it's your internal infrastructure on-prem or whether it's in a provider's cloud or some other external cloud. And it starts by, virtualizing the compute, which probably many of you in here know already that's the foundation of VMware. But now as we move into virtualizing the network with solutions there and virtualizing storage, the importance of that software defining the data center is a critical linchpin into really the cloud environment. You heard Ian talk earlier about the complexities that are coming about from all the cloud technologies that are being released as well as the use cases for the cloud. Software defining that environment greatly simplifies how you use the cloud and greatly enhances the ability to have this hybrid type capability, which we believe is really the orientation of the market. The enterprise market is clearly going to go toward a hybrid model. And so software defining that allows you to basically have this intelligence within the VM to define your network definitions, your security definitions, your storage definitions, your compute parameters, all within the VM. So no matter where the VM moves, those parameters move with it. So it greatly simplifies your ability to manage and monitor your cloud environment. So our concept about one cloud with a very robust singular management and automation engine that can apply across all those disparate clouds, really from your orientation provides the organization a one cloud view of everything in your environment on a global basis. And so that greatly enables our customers now to really this idea of any application from any device. Organizations are really trying to get applications and data sets much closer to their customers. So it's about improving your customer's experience through quicker access for their data through the device that they want to get access to. And that is fundamentally what's driving a lot, certainly, of the cloud solution sets from the customer base is how do I enhance the ability of getting data and an experience to my customers so that I can maintain that customer base and attract more. So in our mind, that architecture really does matter. And what you'll see or hear, what you have heard is, with VMware, you get the same technology you have in your internal environment is the exact same technology set you'll see in the Rackspace cloud, for instance. So to your users, it's identical and the view is very seamless. The hybrid cloud is not an easy thing. A lot of folks talk about it, but it's not an easy thing to do. If you don't have those like technologies in both areas, it's very difficult to have this type of scenario. And you could see there's a lot of issues that are brought up. When you think about using a external cloud, you want to have this hybrid capability. When we talk about hybrid, it's really the ability to move workloads dynamically between your internal premise and any number of external cloud environments or external premises. And so the ability to do this, there's a lot of complexity that comes into it. You have network incompatibilities. How do you extend your network, your local area networks to extend beyond boundaries, your wide area network definitions. There's a number of security issues that come into play. You also have the issue of, if I can't have compatibility, how do I build apps from scratch to put in another environment versus mine? What do the management tools look like? So there's a lot that goes into certainly the concept of a hybrid cloud, and unless you have a real core, strong technology set that's identical on both sides, it's very difficult to do. And that's where certainly the Amazon side of things tends to fall down on the enterprise. And we see a lot of customers, actually we transitioning a lot of customers off of Amazon because of that. The difficulty to get workloads back off and on to that platform is very encumbersome when you go to scale to use the public cloud. So there's a number of obvious benefits behind having a VMware powered cloud and the Rackspace cloud as they deploy our technology set. And you can certainly read these up here. The one I wanted to touch on, though, that's not up here is probably one of the biggest ones that most customers are concerned about with anything to do with an external cloud is managing risk. And I think the environment, when we talk about this hybrid cloud, that true capability is the ability to really manage risk. And when you talk about managing that performance risk, it's a big thing right now. Most vendors, the reality is that no one really knows what the best ideal applications are for the cloud. A lot of folks can come in and say, oh yeah, hey, we can do this, we can do that. These applications all work great. Let's move all your applications to the cloud. The reality is no one really knows with any certainty on how your particular application is going to perform given the parameters of uses, the distance of users, how many, the volume of users that are hitting that cloud. And so it's very, very difficult at this stage to really, for anybody, including VMware, to come in and really identify workloads that can move to the cloud. And so the risk there is, the decision. Should I move it? I don't know if I should move it. What if the performance isn't there? What if I don't get the end user experience that I expect? How do I recover from that? How can I get that back? And in the classic sort of scenario, it's difficult to rectify that situation. And that's why the hybrid cloud is such an important factor and such an important element into this whole enterprise cloud orientation. So the ability to move a workload dynamically from your internal cloud environment to an external cloud environment and back again is probably one of the biggest areas of mitigation of this risk that keeps most customers from moving more aggressively into this public cloud environment. And so when I was talking about infrastructure matters and the architecture matters, this is fundamentally what I was talking about. It hits right into this area of managing the risk, because what we want, at least from a VMware perspective, and certainly you'll hear this from Rackspace as well, is that our orientation is that we want workloads to reside for you where they're most cost effective and they're most operationally effective. So because we have the technology stack that's the same whether on-prem or in the cloud, it doesn't matter to us. We want to maximize and make sure that that workload is in the most cost-effective location and at the most operationally efficient location. So whether that's on-prem or external. And the ability to move these back and forth gives organizations like yourselves a lot better confidence in, okay, I'm going to move these workloads to the public cloud. You know what? I'm not getting the experience I expected there. I can immediately just pull them right back in within a matter of an hour back into my own internal data center, and now they're working more functionally and getting the experience that I prefer. So, that's why in our mind that architecture really does matter when you talk about the cloud environment. It was funny. I was talking to one of our employees who's in the technology room, and he came out and said, Don, a lot of the questions I'm getting are, from the audience here, people are confused about, VMware, Rackspace. VMware has a cloud, Rackspace has a cloud. They use your technology. I don't get it, and so I'm going to try to explain sort of why we're in such a great partnership with Rackspace. The first reason really is the expertise around the relationship that we've had with Rackspace for the last 10 years. So they have over 50,000 VMware workloads under management over the past 10 years. We've been associated with them for well over 10 years. And I think one of the things that we really like as an organization when we work with Rackspace is that, obviously many of you know we have plenty of providers of our technology that sell our technology. But the difference here is that as a service provider, Rackspace, their expertise on actually using our technology is what is of most interest to us at VMware. And that expertise, because they've been working with it, they've been managing it, they've been working with customers and configuring and optimizing configurations of the VMware environment for their customers, and not just selling the technology. So that piece for us is so important, and that's part of the reason why we're so excited about our partnership and really trying to grow this partnership with Rackspace. That piece is really important. As you heard Ian say this morning again or earlier this afternoon, about the complexity of moving to a public cloud, and now you have workloads disparate in different geographies around the world as well as your internal environment. Getting the skill set of people that can understand that cloud sort of app orientation, as well as getting tool sets that understand and can work in that environment, it can prove difficult for organizations. So Rackspace has that expertise, and they've worked with us for so long that they're incredibly familiar with the details behind the technology. And so, together we're a pretty powerful organization, and our organizations, our CEOs have been meeting and really trying to figure out how we really take this and scale the partnership to a much higher level. So the Rackspace Managed Cloud, the other piece, this leads into the other piece about, VMware, Rackspace, you guys have different clouds. And then we actually had a meeting earlier with a number of the Rackspace folks, and when you think about the value behind, when you look at VMware, we are a great technology company, probably the best technology company I've ever worked for. So we have like a little over 18,000 employees right now, and almost 8,000 of them are coders, engineers that are developing the products. So heavily engineered oriented company, which comes out in the products. It's a great product. So we're great at the product infrastructure. When you look at this though, it's not easy to get a hybrid cloud environment going. There's a lot that goes into it. So having people that are familiar with and come into your environment and help you assess your applications, put together the plan to say, hey, we've done this before, we can classify your applications, and you know what, we think the first wave of movement into a hybrid cloud solution should be these set of applications followed by these. And then actually having people that have done this before and being comfortable with moving those workloads and data sets into the hybrid cloud without having outages, and being able to get these environments up and running for you in an efficient manner. And then it's about the life cycle management of that beyond there. So where we concentrate on infrastructure and simplifying and enhancing the performance of infrastructure, right? What you care about are our applications and the data sets that are being delivered to your employees and your customers. And that's where Rackspace brings that added advantage and added expertise that necessarily VMware does not. And so those additional managed services up to the application layer around other things like security and redundancies and those types of scenarios, right? And keeping that managed and going from a life cycle perspective is where their expertise really shines. And so when you think about, hey, VMware and Rackspace, we don't see the connection. That's where we see certainly value for us. They're a great user and provider of our technology, but they further enhance the ability of our customers to really feel comfortable in this hybrid cloud environment and have a managed set and expertise set that allows organizations to really feel comfortable getting real robust and moving into this hybrid cloud use scenario. So just with that, I'll finish up here a few minutes early, and I would say a couple things. I would say one, the orientation from a VMware perspective is that the architecture really does matter, and we have an orientation around this one cloud idea. We don't look at all these clouds as disparate clouds. It's all about having one cloud. So you have the common technology infrastructure set that's pervasive across the entire environment, irregardless of where it's located across the globe. And this allows you to really simplify the skill set, simplify the tool set that's needed, but actually bring the robustness of hybrid cloud into reality, and mitigates really the risk of organizations starting to really get into this market. And we're seeing some really interesting scenarios of use cases of customers moving in here. Certainly the retail space right now, from their need to build out capacity and have robustness in a short time frame at different periods of time during the year is one area. But I'll tell you, one of the biggest areas we're seeing right now are organizations that want to get into new markets or trying to get market share and are able to get infrastructure into other locations around the world very easily, very quickly, and so they can get human resources in there without having to wait for infrastructure to come in and get organizations up and running. So we're really seeing a lot of companies that are entering new markets, want to get into new geographies, trying to capture market share in different areas, really start to use this in a bigger way as they try to get more applications and data sets to their customers directly. So with that, I want to thank you certainly for the time. Thank you for attending, and I'll turn it over back to John.